Yesterday, Steve and Mickey went out and wild shot this deer. So it is a wild animal, which there are plenty of in Australia. And I've come here today and I'm gonna butcher the whole thing down for them so that they can use it all. And it's winter now, so it's winter here. So, you know, a lot of their cuts they'll want to braise and that. And then I know Steve loves making sausages and that kind of thing as well. So I'll probably give him some of that meat to make his sausages with. And I know Mickey also likes, you know, doing sausages and salamis and that kind of thing. So a lot of this meat, well, all of this meat actually will get used by both of those guys. So I'm going to break it down for them today, and we'll need to get some age on it too. So this has been hanging overnight. One important thing to remember is if you do take an animal from the wild, you can't just butcher it and eat it. You need to let it hang like this, okay? You need the meat to get, you know, to set. It's called setting. So you need the meat to set like it has. It sort of goes a bit pink, okay? And the sort of the enzymes in the meat start to break down a bit, and they start to die off as well, and the meat starts to set. And it's a lot easier to butcher, but it's also a lot better to eat like that. You could actually eat this after the day or two of hanging, but I would say it's better to butcher the meat and then let it wet age or bag age or do something with it for another week or so before you eat it, even 2 weeks, you know, and then use it. So what we're going to do is break it all down and get it ready for the boys. All right, so let's get into it. As I go, I'll just explain each cut and some nice little methods that you could use to cook with it at home. So we'll start now and get into it. Okay, so Mickey and Steve took this from the wild yesterday. They would have had to remove the entrails from the inside, okay? And that has to be done really quickly, you know? That has to be done within minutes, okay? You get those out as quick as possible. And then what they would have done in the field, okay, is they would have field dressed it. So they would have taken the entrails out. Then they would have put the carcass on the ground, okay? Like over the ground, all right, and let the air from the earth cool the carcass from the inside out, okay? That's also very important. And then they would have brought it back here with the skin on, okay, because it protects the meat and it stops any germs or anything like that getting into it. So they would have carted it back here from the field and hung it in the tree with the skin on, okay? Then what they would have done is they would have cut at the top here, which I can see they have. They've cut around the top of the shanks, and they would have then put their 2 incisions, and I can actually see where they've done it. They would have gone down here like this, and then down here like this, okay? They would have done the same at the bottom here, and then they would have come behind and they would have just taken the skin off, okay? And the reason they need to take the skin off, obviously, is because they need the cool air to set to it. The best time to get deer in Australia is in winter, because our flies here are thick and fast, okay? So if this was in summer now, at this time of the day, I would be covered in flies, and so would this animal. So it's a really good time of the year to do it because we don't have those flies around at all, okay? That's Big Vinny the rooster. Then basically what they would have done is left it here, and they would have put a bag over it, or some muslin or something like that, and let it sit here overnight to set. When I say set the meat, I mean that the meat needs to set to the carcass, okay? And that's the enzymes breaking down, all right, in the meat, and the meat getting sort of gluey. You can hear that. It's sort of sticky and gluey to touch, okay? And it's not that sort of, I say like, it's not like a jelly-like consistency, which is very hard to butcher when meat is like that. When it's fresh, it's impossible. You need it to set. You need it to set to the carcass, okay? It's much easier to butcher. It's much nicer to butcher, and it's just the way it's done. If you're out in the field, which also is another way to do it. You'd do this a bit differently, okay? You would do it on the ground, which we've all seen this method. A lot of hunters do it like this. They would basically leave the skin on, and they would open up the skin on the ground, and you'd use the skin to protect the meat from any germs or anything on the ground as they break it down, okay? Sometimes they'd actually leave the skin on some of the forequarters and the hindquarters, but if they're packing their meat out and they've got bags, usually they will put all the meat into that skin, roll it up, put it in a bag and take it out. So doing it in the field is a bit different to what we're going to do here today. The way we're doing it here today is how you would see it in any butcher in any part of the world.